And welcome everybody to the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show Series. How's everybody doing today? It's so nice to see your smiley faces. We welcome you from all around the world, our international audience of viewers, or as we call them, the Lovely Squad. The Lovely Squad watching and chiming in. They're already commenting. So great to see the comments and the enthusiasm. If you didn't have a good day today, well, stick with us. We've got an extraordinary guest joining us live and direct from Chicago. We have the incredible, legendary jazz vocalist, founder of the Chicago Gospel Festival, and so much more. Sasha Daltonn is joining us. We have extraordinary stories. She's got an amazing, riveting new book out as well, and lots more. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Again, if you're not, stick with us. We've got an extraordinary conversation, and that's what we call it here. We don't call these interviews. We call these conversations here. They're warm and they're inviting and they're fun. And you never know, since we come at you live, what direction our conversation goes in. Could go anywhere. Maybe a cat will come in the room, or a dog or a bird will fly on her shoulder. Sometimes those things happen when you're live. We're very excited. We really thank her because there's some sort of a major internet outage that's happening in Chicago. And so she had to scramble. What a trooper. And she's actually on her phone. So I think that's really cool. She knew what she was doing. She's a tech genius, and she could add that to her resume as well. I see all the comments built up. Our JMS Lovely Squad is there, and we absolutely love that. If you would like to comment live in our JMS Live chat room, which is open right now when the show is live, simply just subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where, believe it or not, there's over 700 episodes we have done. And we just had an epic 2-year anniversary just about a week or so ago. It's been incredible. Over 700 episodes live 7 days a week. And if you enjoy this episode, all the episodes you enjoy, give it a hearty thumbs up. There's a thumbs up icon on the YouTube channel. And leave a comment. Drop a comment on the YouTube channel underneath the episode as well. Matter of fact, when you do subscribe, hit that red button. Make sure you click the notification bell so you never miss any of the episode alerts, notifications, reminders of all the great guests in the episodes. Again, if you would like to chat in our very busy JMS Live chat room right now, be sure and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's a very special gift for all of our subscribers. And there's no cost when you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's right. Jim Masters TV is the YouTube channel that you're watching right now. No cost. It's just a gift that we give you, and I think it's really cool. Something extra for our viewers and supporters here on the show. Thanks to everybody who's been doing super chat, super emojis, super stickers during the show. You can do that when the show is live, or super thanks at any time on our YouTube channel as well. Let's tell you about our amazing guest. Again, she is really music royalty. Her name is synonymous with class and elegance and so much more. Highly recognized and respected in the entertainment industry as an award-winning jazz vocalist and actress and producer, founder of the Chicago Gospel Festival. And this year she includes author, that's right, author, to her impressive list of credentials. Because of her love for Chicago's history and its history makers, Sasha has chosen musical theatrical productions as the vehicle to share the rich history of Black achievers. She made her entree into the theater world as an actress in the Los Angeles production of Anna Lucusta. And let me tell you, the Chicago production of Godspell 2 is where she earned her legitimacy as an actress and membership and Actors Equity. She later appeared with Desmond, who you know, of course, from Sanford and Sons, Desmond Wilson. And she appeared in Sanford and Sons as well in Come Blow Your Horn. Yes, that's right. Followed by her one-woman show, Madame Hortense, which earned her a nomination for the Joseph Jefferson Citation. She recently appeared in the animator written and produced by Emmy Award-winning producer Robert Jones. As a vocalist, Sasha has performed throughout the United States, Canada, and performed for the Kool Jazz Festival. That's pre-festival at Carnegie Hall. Yeah. Additionally, she performed with the legendary Lionel Hampton in New York. We'll talk about that, as well as in Canada. However, it was her performance in Sasha Sing Dinah that she earned her major recognition, paying heed and homage to Dinah Washington, another classic legend. And we're going to talk about that as well. She does a spectacular rendition. And in her book, Chicago's Gospel Music Festival, The Untold Story Unplugged, how a jazz singer founded the world's largest gospel festival. Sasha recalls how she convinced Mayor Harold Washington to allow her to produce a gospel music festival to honor the father of gospel music, Professor Thomas Dorsey. We'll talk about all of that and so much more. Her 5-year tenure as a producer of the festival attracts hundreds of thousands of music lovers, and the festival has become incredibly popular. 60,000 people remained once in a rainstorm in its 3rd year. The 5th year attracted 125,000 for 2 days in the rain. 2020, the festival has celebrated 35 years. Isn't that amazing? So now we're talking 37 years. Really extraordinary. She is also president of a record company, and she's an educator as well. That's right. And as I mentioned, an author. She is so immersed in culture and in music and in society, inspiring us all. And we were just having so much fun talking before we went live on the air about, all the wonderful things that she does. And we're going to share that with you here exclusively on the Jim Master Show Live. This is a rare interview with a music legend. Won't you join me live and direct from Chicago in welcoming Sasha Daltonn to the Jim Master Show Live? Sasha, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
How are you? What an introduction. I was going to turn around and say, who's he talking about? Hi, how are you?
Your grandmother faxed that to me. She says you best read it as it is now.
Oh, my goodness.
We did our research and put it together, and I like to give our audience a good understanding of the incredible backgrounds of the illustrious guests we have that pass through us here and our show. It's amazing. I say the Bantu that word legend around a lot, but for you, music has truly been and continues to be your life, isn't it, Sasha?
Absolutely. Music and art.
Yes.
Theater, telling stories. This is really what I love, producing events. And I believe that education is possible through theater and through storytelling. Yeah. And that's what I like to do.
Oh, and you do it so beautifully. Tell me first, what were those inspirations in your life early as a child that sort of pointed you in the direction of doing this incredible work you do as a phenomenal artist, an art maker, a creator in the musical world?
Well, I am from a family of musicians or singers. And as a young child, I used to travel with my aunt, who was a singer, and she and her husband had a sing and dance and comedy group, duo, Artie and Mary Brooks. So when I was out of school during the summers, I would travel with her, and she would let me be on the show. They taught me how to do a few steps and try to sing. And I guess that's mainly where I got it in my blood. My household was filled with music. Always, all types of music. Jazz, blues, gospel. You wake up in the morning, there's music. You go to bed at night, there's music. So I guess it was just in my bones. And yeah. I think that's how it was rooted in me as a child.
So it was around, you really soaked it up. And then did you start to really partake in it yourself, start getting out there as a kid and trying to perform? And how did it all really begin as far as the performance side of what you do, Sasha?
Not really. Actually, I was a little timid initially. And I married very young and moved to California. So my career began in Los Angeles, which is where I became friends with a number of people who are celebrities now, but we were all just young and trying to make it, like Philip Michael Thomas, Ernie Hudson, who did Hands That Rocks the Cradle. I remember when Nichelle was in the show with us. I remember when she got Star Trek. and everybody was so excited. And but I realized too, I had a few singing jobs and, was performing in a few plays, but I thought, if I really want to make it, the competition out here is so great. And all of the women were so pretty and everything was so perfect. I said, you might need to go back home. So I came back to Chicago. And when I got home, I went and sang in this small club, just sitting in. Well, it just so happened that in that evening, Al Hibbler, do you remember Al Hibbler?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Al Hibbler was performing. And when I sang, he asked me my name and I told him. And he said, do you have anybody in the business? I said, yeah, Marion Artie Brooks. He said, oh, I love Marion Artie. So he told the guy who happened to be had a group of the Ink Spots. His name was Lefty Bates. He said, you ought to use her. And that was really my first professional, real paid singing gig. And I went on the road with them for, I'd say, about 5 months. When I came back, I still wanted to perform, and I started working in different clubs. And actually, for a while, I was a Gaslight girl at the the Gaslight Club was like the Playboy Club. But
Right.
I was one of the girls that sang upstairs, and we wore a gown and we floated through the different rooms. And all of the piano players loved performing with me performing with them, because I knew all the songs. So we got a lot of tips. Got a lot of tips. And I think the girls kind of double teamed on me. And so one night I went to the costume shop to get my beautiful gown. And they told me, no, you're going to be working on the floor carrying a tray. And they wore trays. They wore costumes like the Playboy girls. And I said, I'm not going to do that. My mother will kill me.
Right.
I said, no, my mother will kill me, because as much as my family was in music, they were also very religious. I said, oh, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. And around about that time, the city of Chicago had started a program called the Artists in Residence program.
Oh, yeah.
And they paid artists of all disciplines. We paid, it was a yearly job, which was very good. And I think at that time we were making like $25,000 a year. That was a lot of money to do what you love doing.
Yeah.
And I was a singer for the program, and I created programs to go and perform in the senior buildings and for schools. So when my year was up, I thought, I like doing this. And I got a grant. I've always kind of had a kind of business side. So I said, I think I'll get a grant and do this myself. So I got a very substantial grant. I hired all of the people that had been dismissed that year and created the same type of program. But I left out, while I was there, they asked me to write a show for Black History Month. And I already was working on something called Running with the 8 Ball, which was a musical about the history of Black Chicago and how you use that history to encourage young people to stay in school, mainly by highlighting Chicagoans who had achieved a certain level in life that were students at Chicago public schools. Yeah. And I called it Running with the 8 Ball because the story took place around a game of pool. And when the young kid was at the end of the game, one of the old guys who owned the pool hall said, okay, hold on there. Now you're at the end of the game. That 8 ball is your challenge ball. It's just, you call the wrong pocket, you lose the game.
That was an amazing save you just made. Speaking of 8 ball.
And he said, it's just like the game of life. Your challenges are your 8 balls.
Yes.
And if you don't make the right choice, you lose.
Yeah.
So are you going to be behind the 8 ball, or are you going to run with it? What are you going to do? Is it pool or school? And of course, the show became extremely popular. But in that production, I had a segment on the Club de Lisa. that was here in Chicago. Do you remember that? Have you ever heard of it? It
Yeah, I've
was kind
heard of
of
it.
like
Yeah.
the Cotton Club.
Right.
And so many adults were coming to see this academic program because they loved the part on the Club de Lisa. So I thought, I need to write a show on the Club de Lisa. So I found the owner's son, and I said, if I write a show on the Delisa, would you give me the rights to use the name? He said, sure. So then I went to a couple of the businessmen in the city and said, if I write a show on the Delisa, will you give me money for it? They said, oh, yes, Sasha, we'll do that. Well, in doing my research on the artists that I wanted to showcase in the production, Dinah Washington was one of them. And I couldn't find any history on Dinah to the extent that I could on other artists. So I thought, I need to write a show on Dinah Washington.
Had you been a fan of hers as well?
I liked her music. I loved her music. But, I just loved her music. That's all. But I felt that she should be honored. And I wrote this show entitled Dinah and Her Music. And I had become obsessed with Dinah Washington to the extent that I went throughout the country talking to people at my own expense who knew or worked with her to shape my story. So when I finally had it, I went back to those same men and said, I got a show on Dinah Washington. And said, we don't want to do that. So I thought, okay, I'm out here now. So I started looking for someone to portray Dinah because I wasn't thinking of doing it. I just wanted to do the show, write the show. I wanted to be the great producer who was the first person to ever write a show on Dinah Washington and, edge somebody on into stardom. So when I finally found this young lady, she said to me, I was obsessed, I was very obsessive. And she said, I don't want to know all of that. I just want to know how much money you're going to pay me and what songs I'm going to sing. And I took that as an insult and I snatched the script. I said, I'll do it myself. And I changed the name of the show to Sasha Sings Dinah. And that's how it happened. And then it went after we ran in New York for 18 months. Chicago for 18 months. Woody King, who had the New Federal Theater in New York, was in attendance. I didn't know it. And he walks up to me and he says, hi, Sasha, my name is Woody King. You should be in New York. And that's how it happened. But can you make this a one-woman show? And
yes,
that's how that last poster that you showed, I changed the name of the show to Dinah, Queen of the Blues. And that's what happened.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So
it was not in my plans, Jim, at all. I had no idea. And the interesting thing was my mother, as much as she supported me, she did not want me to be in show business. And she said to me, you should go back to school and finish your degree and get a job as a teacher. But she came to the show the opening night and she said to me, I can see it. This show's going to do great things for you. She went home that evening. Her house caught on fire. Those were the last words I ever heard my mother speak. So I felt that New York must be the great thing. So I better go and do this for my mother. And that's how that happened. Yeah.
Wow. What an amazing story.
Yeah. Interesting story.
Yes, exactly. This epic career that you've had and so many different variables to it as well. I want to show a couple of cool things. Look at this shot.
That's Mayor Harold Washington 64th birthday party, which I produced. What I didn't say was after the show closed in Chicago, when Woody came to offer me to go to New York, he had to raise the money for the show. So during that time, Harold Washington, who was a friend of mine, he was a congressman, was running for mayor. So I worked in the campaign and became very involved with the Harold Washington campaign and even handled one of the groups that we called Artists for Washington. And so that the entertainment community could be a part of the fundraising effort, because everyone, every Black person in Chicago wanted to see Harold Washington be mayor. And he needed money, so the entertainers didn't have money. So what we did was we formed a group called Artists for Washington. And every entertainer, it didn't matter if they were DJs, singers, musicians, donated their services to the campaign, which saved the campaign money for entertainment, for fundraising events. And I was the coordinator of that effort. So I was very well entrenched in the Harold Washington campaign. Well, after Harold became mayor, Woody had the money for the show. So I went on to New York to do the show, but I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay in Chicago. Yeah, but I had made a commitment, so I had to go.
You had to go. Look at this fabulous photo here, Sasha.
This is a picture of, now, after I did the Dr. King, the Gospel Festival, the last year of the Gospel Festival. Well, the Mayor Washington died in 1987, and then we had another mayor to come in. Gene Sawyer was appointed mayor. Gene lost in a special election, and Mayor Daley came in, and he got rid of me. So this picture was taken some years later when he said to me, I really wish you'd come back to City Hall and work for me. And I said, you got rid of me once. I'm not going to let you do it again. But he and I are great friends. And this is my daughter. That was my daughter. He said, I don't believe you said that. I said, I'm not going to give you a chance, but we're really friends. And he's a great guy.
Got another great shot with Harold, huh?
This was taken just before he died at City Hall, yes.
This was just before.
Yeah, maybe about 4 months before he passed.
What was the year that he passed?
1987. It was November, the day before, 2 days before Thanksgiving in 1987.
Oh, boy.
He died unexpectedly of a heart attack. This is the first Dinah Washington show. When we called, at that time, the show was entitled Sasha Sings Dinah. And that's me with the tiara. That's Bob Black, who was the editor of Jet Magazine, Khalila Ali, the former wife of Muhammad Ali. And this gentleman is Bobby Grayson, and that's Dinah Washington's son, her oldest son.
What a great collection of incredible people here in this shot, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that one too.
That's myself, Mavis Staples, and her sister Cleotha Staples at a Sasha Sings Dinah performance.
Here's another one too. People might recognize some faces here.
That is myself. They cut me off a little.
I was going to say, yeah.
Mary Wilson and the Queen of Gospel Music, Albertina Walker. And Mary was a surprise guest at one of the festivals. And so we took that picture. Oh, I didn't know he had that one. That's myself and Billy Blanks. Is that his name, Billy Blanks? He did
Billy Blanks, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I had a radio show for a while, and I interviewed him, and this was taken at the station.
Oh, that's fantastic, huh? Did you enjoy doing that?
Doing radio? Actually, I did.
Yeah.
But I didn't like getting up that early in the morning.
You had the morning show? I
was on drive time. And that was a little bit too much for me. And after a year, I said, I can't do this anymore. But I still wanted to do radio. So I started an internet radio show on Worldwide Christian Radio. This is, that was a gospel station, a Gospel Radio 1390. And I went on, yes.
Yeah.
And I still wanted to do radio. And I thought, I'll do this internet thing. And I went on Worldwide Christian Radio, and my idea was to play music for the gospel artists in Chicago who did not have record deals, and then sell their music on my website and give them worldwide recognition. And I started getting emails from people saying, would you help me? I don't know what to do with my husband. He's cheating on me, and I'm having this type of problem. And I'd sit there and I'd respond. And then I thought, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is spiritual, and I'm giving them advice on how to handle their marriages.
You're like,
I need to go. I need to really go. I really need to go and hear what the Word of God is saying. And that's what led me to seminary.
It was funny. I mentioned, I work in television and radio and have on a lot of different stations and networks and shows over the years. And one of the earliest out of college and high school was at a Christian radio station. And we were talking about Winans and, of course, with BB and CC Winans and maybe Gran and Michael W. Smith and some of those
Oh,
legendary
yeah.
names you would hear. I even remember when BB and CC were guests of Jim and Tammy Baker on the PTL Club. They used to be on that show and that network many, many times. Kind of interesting, huh? I think you had a story too you wanted to share, right?
I did. When I was producing the Gospel Festival, I had a call from an agent who I had worked with quite frequently. His name was Steve Brollier, and he was with the William Morris Agency. And he called me and he said, Sasha, I've got this brother and sister act, and I need you to put them on the festival. And I said, oh, Steve, I'd love to help you, but I don't have any more money. Excuse me. He said, well, you can just pay them a modest honorarium and transportation for 4 and no, for 8 and hotel. I said, Steve, I don't have any money to pay 8 people. And he just kept talking and talking, and I liked him, and he sounded like he really needed this book. And he said, they just signed with Sparrow Records, and they're going to be big. And so I thought, I had a cancellation, but I was going to use that money for something else. And I said, well, what's their name? He said, BB and CC Winans. I said, oh my God, are they related to the Winans brothers? He said, yeah. I said, you got a deal. And I brought them in. They were so wonderful. They had just signed with Sparrow Records, and they just blew the festival up. They got major press. And 2 years later, I did a Winans family reunion and had the brothers, Vicky and BB and CC. Yeah.
Wow.
But they were just great. Yeah.
You're so good at, and you have such a, history of helping others, of supporting others, of lifting others, empowering others, giving other people a shot at things. Where do you think that comes from for you, Sasha? Were you given opportunities and shots in your life, and you're sort of paying it forward because you're so well known for helping others get to where they need to get?
Well, I don't know. I think it's maybe that I feel that we all have to help one another, and no one gets to wherever they are by themselves. And I certainly had a mission, and someone helped me. And as I was producing events and doing things, I thought, it didn't bother me to help someone. In fact, it was a blessing. And I really believe if you help people and you give of yourself, you are blessed. You are blessed to be able to give, and you are blessing the receiver as God has blessed you.
That is so absolutely true. Beautifully said. That is absolutely true on so many different levels. We'll talk about the festival in just a second and how that all came about, but we have some other wonderful photos here. Look at this one.
Yes, that was taken at Rick's Cafe American when I was singing there one night. I don't remember when.
One night. Many nights.
Yes.
That's a great shot. Do you recall when this was taken roughly?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember. A few years ago, I can tell you that, because Rick has been closed for a few years. So at least 8 or 9 years ago.
It's a great shot. Yeah, it's a great shot.
Thank you.
Yeah. Look at this one.
Oh, that's John Levy, Nancy Wilson's agent. John and I were friends, but John was very interested in my career and giving me advice. Really nice guy. Yeah. John, yeah.
That's really fantastic. I tell you, really amazing to have all these great shots and all this. The book, which is really amazing. Tell us about what inspired you to write the actual book. And the photo on the cover of the book is an absolutely stunning shot, as is this one. That's another stunning shot as well. But for the book, tell us about the inspiration for penning this book, and congratulations on it too.
Thank you. I I guess for so many years, I never said anything about founding the festival or anything. And my daughter, who is now 34, she said to me, no, she reminded me last week, she's 36, I'm sorry. She said, Mom, you should write a book about the Gospel Festival. My generation needs to know this. This is history. Mommy, you're a historian. You should write the book. And then several other friends kept urging me. So I sat down and had to collect all my memories and I realized that I had a responsibility to tell the history. As much as I tried to preserve other history, it seemed like I wasn't trying to preserve that piece of history that I contributed to. And that I had a responsibility to do that. And I called the book Unplugged because I'm just telling the story of how everything happened from the beginning to the end and the paths that God took me down in order to get there, because it was not in my plan. Doing the Gospel Festival was nothing that I wanted to do at all. It actually happened by accident.
And amazing. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that. Maybe we can share a few things from the book for our audience, because I know they're going to want to run out and get it. They're very proactive. Our viewers, our lovely viewers, are very proactive on the show. They get books and music and all kinds of stuff. How did that opportunity come your way, Sasha, to be able to found and create the infamous and incredible Chicago Gospel Festival, which now I think it's in its 37th year?
Yeah, that's correct.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, what happened was, after my show closed at the ballroom in New York, and we were remounting it to go to New York. It was a holiday time, and the mayor called me and said, I need you to come home and do a fundraiser for me now that you're a star. I said, I'm not a star, but I'd be happy to come home and do it. So I came back to Chicago, did the fundraiser, and went back to New York. Then I got another call. I had no plans of coming back to Chicago. I loved New York. I wanted to live in New York. I had a great apartment in Harlem, and I thought, this is as good as it gets. And I got another call to come back and do something, and I did. And while I was here, I attended a party with the mayor, a private party, and I said to him, I said, Mayor, next year, Harold Washington's Dr. King's birthday is going to be a major holiday, a national holiday. But he had introduced the bill in the Senate to make Illinois the first state to honor Dr. King with a provisional holiday. So I said, you should get a jump on the nation and do a big Dr. King celebration. So he said, okay, Sasha, what should we do? And I gave him these ideas. He said, that's a great idea. You've got to do it. He said, we can do this. I said, we can't do anything. I'm going back to New York. He said, no, you need to be here and do this. So I said, okay. So I stayed. Now, I came home for 2 weeks. My 2 weeks became 2 years. And at the end of that event, I was closing out the event to meet with the mayor and say, thank you very much. I'm going back to New York. You can get somebody else to do this next year. And a gentleman walked in the office that I knew, who was with the Illinois Arts Council. And he was trying to get Thomas Dorsey, the father of gospel music, an award, the governor's award for the arts. And he said he was having a hard time doing that because the committee wanted more recommendations. So he said, would you write a letter for me and have the mayor write a letter? So I said, oh, sure, I'll do that. So I wrote the letters, gave him the letters, and he came back, and I didn't think any more about it. I mean, to tell the truth, Jim, I thought Thomas Dorsey I didn't even know he was still alive. But I wrote these letters, gave them to him, and he came back 2 weeks later and he said, guess what? Dorsey's going to get the award. So I said, oh, that's great. Well, when I went to meet with the mayor, and I had an idea, I said, the mayor can't let the governor outdo him. He's got to do something bigger. So I said, you can't do this. He's the father of gospel music. You've got the city has to do something too.
You gotta step it up.
Yeah, you got to step it up, Mayor. So I said to him, I said, I gave him that rationale. And he said, well, what do you think I should do? I said, a gospel festival. Call it the Thomas Dorsey Gospel Festival. He's the father of gospel music. Have it over the Father's Day weekend. And he said, that's a great idea. Can you do it that fast? Because this was in March. Father's Day was in June. I said, I can't do it at all, Mayor. I'm going back to New York. He said, not if it's going to be a gospel festival. I said, okay, I'll stay and do it this one time. And then I said, I have put my career on hold. Too much for the city. I have got to get back to what I do. I never got back. So it was a great success. The first year we had 40,000 people attend. It was in a country club on the south side of the city, in the neighborhood. The second year we had 60,000. It was too many people. We had outgrown the facility. And so the mayor said, you got to take it downtown and make it a major festival, like the Chicago Blues and Chicago Jazz. But you have to change the name, because the city cannot sponsor a festival that's named after a person or corporation. So the name changed to the Chicago Gospel Festival. And it kept going. I went through 3 mayors, Mayor Washington, Mayor Sawyer. I was trying to leave before Mayor Washington died. That didn't happen. When he died, I had to stay because I knew Mayor Sawyer. He asked me to stay. And then I worked for a short time for Mayor Daley. And after that, and that's political, politics, that happens everywhere. Each candidate brings in their own team. And I just, yeah, that's all.
So, what was your vision initially for the festival? Did it develop as the festival was happening, or did you have a vision of what you had hoped it would become?
I had no vision. My vision was to get my airline ticket out of my top drawer for Southwest Airline and come back to New York, and let somebody else do this. I never dreamed in my wildest imagination that it would be what it became. I was able to bring in gospel choirs from London. I developed a relationship with the BBC, and they taped portions of the festival for BBC television and radio. We had groups from Jamaica, from Africa. It just became an international festival. And then because my background was in secular, so to speak, I thought it was unfair that the religious community didn't want secular artists, that secular artists should be included also. And I had a hard time with that one, but I got it through with my committee. And the first non-traditional gospel artists that I brought in were Clifton Davis, Billy Preston, and Linda Hopkins. And one year I did an excerpt of the gospel at Kelowna. So we did a lot of creative things. The critics used to say that it was like an elaborate concert. And it was, we did all types of different programming. Because when we moved the festival downtown, 40,000 people was nothing for Grant Park. I had to appeal to all Chicago. We had to open it up and have entertainment, gospel music, and entertainers that appeal to people who were considered secular, to those who just like blues music and associated blues with gospel because of the beat, and to not overlook the artists that were maybe rooted in gospel, but had decided to go into theater or jazz or whatever, and still would be respected by the gospel community. And that's how it really became such an enormous festival, because there was something for everyone.
Something for everybody. So in the book, do you have maybe a little nugget or so that you might be able to share with us? Because it's a very open and revealing and real and authentic story that you've told in Unplugged, the untold story. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I called it Unplugged for a number of reasons. And one is to just kind of share what I went through as a jazz singer at that time, integrating into the religious community, because people knew me as a singer. Everyone knew me as Sasha Sings Dinah. So you have to look at the fact that this is 1985. We have the first Black mayor. Now he's doing all types of creative programming, and he decides to do a gospel festival and let a jazz singer produce it. Gospel community didn't like me. They initially, and I won't say all of them, but many didn't. And some of the ministers used to call the mayor and tell him to get that blues singing HEFFA out of City Hall. And it was really, it was really kind of mean. And the mayor was
right now everybody's Googling those letters.
I didn't think I could say it. So. And they initially gave me a hard time, but after the 2 years, everybody saw my sincerity. And I was always, Jim, a member of a church. In fact, I was a member of one of the largest churches in the city. I was a Christian. I had been baptized 4 times.
4 times.
4 times.
Usually the 3rd time's the charm.
There's a piece in the book.
Safety, or
well, it's funny because there's a piece in the book about how after I left the city and started my own company, I had an idea to produce an event in Israel. And every time I went to Israel to work on that project, I got baptized at the River Jordan. And so I said, it must be something in my spirit that just liked being baptized. My aunt used to say, you just keep getting baptized because they didn't keep you in water long enough.
I was going to say, is it something to do with the water? Or?
They didn't keep you in long enough.
You must love the ocean.
I don't know what it is. I don't do it anymore, but I've been baptized a lot of times.
Yes. So it's confirmed and reconfirmed and confirmed and confirmed.
Right. I used to joke and say, well, if I die on the day they're admitting Baptists, I can get in. If I die on Catholic Day, they'll let me in because I've been Catholic.
That is funny.
But I went through a lot of problems initially, but I was not going to reveal to people that, yes, to those who didn't know, that I'm a member of the Apostolic Church of God. I've been baptized before. I wasn't going to use my Christianity to confirm that I was Christian and I should be doing the gospel festival. And so it all worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out. Yeah.
It worked out, yes. I have no complaints, really.
That's fantastic. So again, like I say, the book itself is very authentic and real and open, and you've shared a lot with the book. Tell us more about the book itself and some of maybe a nugget or two from it, because I know our audience is going to go out there and get it.
Well, let me see. I'm trying to think of something else I can tell them. There's so much in there.
They all love the cover too. They're commenting about the cover.
I did not want my team to use that cover, that picture. I kept saying, I don't want you to use this for this. Sasha's a great picture. I said, yeah, but I got to look like that every time I go out. It's going to cost me $125 to be able to look like that. I don't think that's an expensive color. That's an expensive color. I've got to call the makeup artist every time I do something. But thank you.
Have you ever thought of going into comedy?
No.
You should have a sitcom. Sasha's sitcom. Yes.
You've been in television. Call somebody and tell them that.
That's it. Sasha's sitcom. I love the idea. What it is just so real and authentic and honest. And I think that's refreshing because we don't really see a lot of that anymore.
Well, thank you.
You tell it like it is in a beautiful way.
When you were talking to me earlier and you mentioned PBS, another little nugget that's in the book is that after I left the city, the gentleman that was working with me on the project for Israel, his name is Dwayne Cochran Johnson, a wonderful young man. And I contacted him because I had this idea to do a world special from the Garden Tomb. So I met the Minister of Tourism for Israel. He said, well, have you ever been there? I said, no. He said, well, let us send you there. But anyway, as I was going to Israel the first time, Dwayne said to me, he worked for PBS. He worked for the PBS affiliate in Chicago, WTTW.
WTTW Channel 11.
Yes. And he said, they're trying to do a gospel show using secular artists, and maybe you can consult with them. I said, great. So when we got back, he took me in to meet Glenn DuBois and Jim Arntz. And they said, we'd like to hire you as a consultant to give us some ideas of who we should use on the show. We need a headliner. So I said, okay, who do you want? Who have you thought of? He said, well, we really thought, he named one artist. He said, but I said, I don't think she'll work. I said, have you thought about Patti LaBelle? He said, we love Patti LaBelle. That's who we wanted, but we can't get her. Can you get her? And I said, I think so. So I made a phone call. 3 days later, we had Patti. They hired me as a talent coordinator. And that was the show. I don't know if you've seen it, Going Home to Gospel with Patti LaBelle.
I think I'm going to send you my wish list for the gymnastics show.
And yeah,
we'll have everybody here next week.
It's a great production. It was a great production. But it solidified and proved what my rationale that a artist, a celebrity artist who sing can also do gospel. And it was a pledge show. And so I had one of the choirs, Ricky. I told Glenn, I said, why don't you let us use the choir to take the pledges, and they can sing in between, and then I'll be on camera and tell people to call in.
Music to pledge by.
Yeah. And so after the first break, Glenn comes up to me and he says, Sasha, you got to push this harder. He said, nobody's calling. We're not getting any calls. Well, at the second break, we found out that the phone lines were dead. There were so many calls, they had knocked out
that happens sometimes. Sometimes
that happens very well, because the gospel community and the secular community came together, supported that event, loved Patti, the other artists that were on, and that just kind of proved my point of what I had said several years before, that you can't eliminate people from doing gospel because you don't know them to be in a church that you know.
So what did they find out happened that you had the secular community and the gospel community coming together and taking pledges? Did Satan come in and cut the phone lines?
No, the phone line, it was so many calls that it knocked out the phone lines. That's what it was.
That happens too, where it's
so many calls,
overload because something is so popular that you don't even know what's happening, because everything's just like frozen, because they didn't expect that kind of response.
That type of response.
That's fantastic. Yeah. That's great.
So gospel music is for everybody. It's for everyone who loves music. Blues music is for everybody who loves blues.
Yes.
And so is jazz.
Another Motown.
Pardon me?
Do you love Motown and soul?
I do. I love it all. I love it all. I even love some of the rap, But another.
Did you like disco?
I did. I liked what was her name? Donna
Summer.
Donna Summer, yeah.
Donna Summer, yeah.
You asked about another interesting little piece. One Saturday before the festival, I got a call from a woman by the name of Penny Tyler. Penny was the producer of the city's jazz festival. So Penny calls me and she said, Sasha, George Wein wants to meet with you. I said, George Wein? I said, impress me. What does he need? What does he want? Well, I had met him when I was in New York doing the Dinah show. In fact, they had booked me for the pre-fest at Carnegie Hall. So she said, George is in town. He has a producer with him of the Umbria Jazz Festival by the name of Carlo Pagnotti. And they want to bring a gospel choir to the Umbria Jazz Festival. And that's how gospel began on the Italy Festival. That year, the city got rid of me, so they weren't going to let me do it. But the person that came after me had the privilege of taking the gospel groups to Italy to appear on the Umbria Jazz Festival for some years.
So you worked all these things out, and then they just said,
"Yeah."
next?
I said they wanted to cancel the festival like 3 months before the festival. I said, "You can't do that."
No.
And I said, "I've sent out deposits. I have a group set to go to Italy." They said, "Well, we won't worry about that." And so they said, you are officially terminated. We are moving you out of City Hall." And
After
I had
doing
to
a
make
great job.
Yeah, but the administration was changing. So I had to make a decision. I said, am I going to let them cancel this festival, or am I going to do everything I can to keep it? So I called the minister who was over the ministers committee, and he kept the festival. And that's how we still have a festival today. But the former director of that office came to me after they said that to me, and she said, "Sasha, don't do anything." She said, "I know you. Just go peacefully. I'm going to be the commissioner. I'll take care of you." I said, "Yeah, but who's going to take care of the gospel festival? I believe they're going to try to cancel it. I believe that, and if you cancel it, you'll never get it back." But I paid a penalty for challenging the system. And I talk about that in the book. I paid a big financial penalty.
So this is a no holds bar, real life
I tell the whole story. I tell it. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's really nothing to tell because it's all politics. And I say in the book, Chicago politics, the mayor and I had a conversation, the new mayor, Mayor Daley, shortly after this happened, maybe about 4 months afterwards. And he had to sit next to me. And we just chatted like we were old friends. And I said, "Chicago politics, nothing like it."
In your illustrious career, record company president, also an educator too, teaching others, professor of music and research. Tell us about all of that side of what you do as well as an educator and mentor.
Well, I guess educator in the sense that the productions that I produce are educational, and I love doing research. And right now I am working on another production entitled A Portrait in Music of the Empress, the Lady, and the Queen. And it's a fascinating play, and I hope that I have it up by November of this year. And I really am going to make sure that young people see it, because there's so many young people that don't know the story of Dinah Washington. Thank God for that Billie Holiday story that was just on. They could find out about Billie. But Bessie Smith, who were these people? What did they go through to become what we know them to be? Dinah, many people don't realize that Dinah Washington was the most recorded female of her time. And the first, one of the first artists to introduce country western music that wasn't country western, Cole Hart, and was the first artist to be on the jukebox at Howard Johnson's, that she recorded over 100 singles during her time and over 50 albums, that she was from Chicago and started as a gospel singer and pianist. And I think it's important that we tell these stories, that especially young people know their roots. And then my belief is remembering your roots preserves your future.
That's so true.
Yeah. And so those are the things that I enjoy doing. I feel that is partly my ministry. I had to understand what is ministry, because none of this was something that I planned. But I always remembered my mother saying, "This is going to be great for you. I can see it." But it wasn't the Dinah Washington show itself. It was the path that led me down to do other things that sustained forever. I then have sustained over 35 years because the Dr. King event that I helped to inspire is still going on. The Gospel Festival is still going on. And after 37 years, that's remarkable. And the thing that I am just so happy about is that we acknowledge that it started under Harold Washington, who was the first Black mayor of Chicago. And I'm very proud to say that I knew him and that I could count him friend and that he interrupted my career. I started to call the book An Unrequested Ministry.
Or you could have said entrances and exits.
Entrances and exits. But you know what, Jim? You just don't know where you're going to end up. You just don't. When you start out today to do something, you don't know where it's going to take you.
That's why you have to cherish every day and savor every moment.
Absolutely.
Because if we've learned anything over the last couple of years, life can be short. It's precious. It's important, and we need to be empathetic and kinder and inspire one another more. I talk about it all the time, not just on this show, but in everyday life. I say it. Kinder, empathy needs to be really paramount in our lives, and we just need to come together. And because life is very short.
I'm working on this on my second book now.
Are you?
Which is called Raising Angie, and that's going to be about my daughter, who I adopted when she was 3. Now she's 35. And one of the greatest things was reuniting her with her birth family. It made such a difference in her life.
That's
and I think that there's something important about doing that.
Yes.
With children who are adopted, it really makes a difference. All children don't want to know where their path, but if they do, it's important that you don't keep that information from them, because it's totally changed her life. And she has a relationship with now her birth family, her adoptive family, and her village family, and that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, it's so.
And I want to share that story, so that perhaps other adoptive parents will.
It's a beautiful story too, because it sort of answers a lot of questions for her, and now things come full circle, and she can maybe look at photos or something and see resemblances and understand a little bit more about herself through the gift you gave her of being able to be connected with the biological family.
I think most people want to know, who am I? Who do I look like? Where did I come from? Those are just kind of basic questions.
Exactly.
And I'm so glad I was able to get them answered for her. Yes.
With your illustrious career as a performer, tell us about maybe some of those magical moments you remember in your legendary jazz vocalist career, places you sang, people you've performed with that stand out for you, Sasha.
Well, let's see, Lionel Hampton. I had the privilege of working with him for a while. And
what was that?
That was amazing.
You were on tour with him, right?
Yeah, well, no, we didn't tour. He would call me for certain dates. But what was interesting is he called me and he said, I want you to work with me New Year's Eve. Well, I didn't work on New Year's Eve. I didn't believe in working New Year's Eve. I thought I should be in church New Year's Eve. And I said, so I talked to my pastor. He said, I think you ought to do it. God's not going to be angry with you because you don't come to church New Year's Eve. So I said to Mr. Hampton, I said, okay, I'll do this, but I have a couple of conditions. He said, what? I said, I have to bring my daughter. He said, okay. I said, but then I have to bring her best friend because she can't be by herself. He said, okay. I said, but then her mother has to come. He said, okay. I said, we have to have connecting rooms. And, anybody that knows Mr. Hampton knows he's cheap as a nickel whistle. So he said, okay. He said, I want you to be able to say that you worked with Lionel Hampton the last night of the Village Gate. So I will do. And that was the closing night of the Village Gate. So that was special.
That's very special. Yeah.
That was very special. And he was a very special man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to meet a lot of very famous people because of the Dinah Washington show. Because this was the first show that was done, to my knowledge, let me clear that up and say, to my knowledge, the I don't think in 1980 there had been a production on Dinah Washington. And people that knew Dinah, especially in New York, they were curious. You know, they wanted to know who I was. Was I going to treat Dinah fairly? What was I going to say about her? How was I going to portray her? So Dinah knew everyone. She was friends with everyone from taxi drivers to David Dinkins, and they all came to the show. And of course, I had an opportunity to meet them and many times become, you know, closer associated with them. Clyde Otis, the record producer, who wrote her hit song, This Bitter Earth.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would spend weekends sometimes with Clyde and his wife, Miss Lou Doris. So it was a great opportunity to meet people. You asked for a funny story. I do this bit in the show where when Dinah was young, she wanted to get out of her contract with Lionel Hampton. And as the story goes, he was only paying her like $25 a week or something. And she said, she had a hit record. She wanted to make more money. Leonard Feather had written a song for her. She was doing very well. And Lionel was still paying her a little bit of money. And she said, I got to get out of this contract. So she took a gun, went to Lionel, put the gun up to his head and said, I'm going to blow your brains out if you don't sign this release. So I asked him, I said, Mr. Hampton, did that really happen? So he said, I don't want to talk about it. Okay, which was an indication to me that it probably did. Well, one night, Betty Carter was at the show. And after the show, she said to me, girl, I was there. She said, I thought I was going to fall out when I saw you do that. She said, I was really there that day. It was at a rehearsal. And Dinah's husband, George Jenkins, was a drummer in the band. And Dinah pulls this gun on Hampton. George jumped off the drums and stopped her. And so she said, that was true. I saw it. It really happened. Of course, she didn't pull the trigger. You know, Hampton was still there. But clearly, he didn't want to talk about it.
She really wanted out of that contract, huh?
Well, and they gave her a release. Yeah. And she went on to be the great Dinah Washington.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes, and I'm still working on another idea for a Dinah project. There should be a movie, a biopic on Dinah Washington.
Mm.
And I want to try to do whatever I can.
Yeah.
You know, there is a young lady who's working on doing this, but I have some ideas that I'd like to share with her so that we can get that done, because it should happen. Her family is still, her sister's still alive, Clarissa Smith. And it would be important to see, not only for people who love Dinah and for people to know Dinah, but for Dinah to have this recognition and for her to be able to see it. She's from a beautiful family of educators. Dinah played piano. A lot of people don't know that. She played piano, vibes, and drums. And she was really a child prodigy in many ways. So that's a passion that I have, to see that. Some years ago, there was a rumor that someone was in town casting the Dinah Washington show. So I heard about it. And I happened to be performing one night. I said, has anybody heard about this Dinah Washington show that's supposed to be going on, supposed to happen? And a few people said yes. I said, well, they didn't call me. Maybe they think I'm too old. Of course, it made Roddy McDowell look like an ape. So it's starting to take some years off of me. I got a good laugh. It made Roddy McDowell look like an ape.
You're Roddy McDowell, the actor, right? Exactly.
Right.
A lot of makeup, right?
A lot of makeup, right? That was my point. He put a lot of makeup. He put a lot of makeup on me and let me be younger. But Dinah died when she was 39.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, very young, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's something, huh?
I don't care how good they make. My makeup artist makes me look. I'm not gonna pass for 39.
$125.
That won't happen.
But they do a beautiful job, that's for sure. Here's another photo too. Look at this one.
Oh, this is Dinah Washington's brother-in-law, Johnny Hartman, myself, and the gentleman that played one of the singers in my original production. And this was taken at Sasha Sings Dinah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, Johnny came.
Yeah. Would you resurrect that show again?
Actually, I was asked by someone's asking me all the time to do it, but I am going to do it in February of next year, an abbreviated version of it. And I have already, made the agreement with the DuSable Museum of African American History to present it during Black History Month. I'm not going to do the entire one-woman show. That has 24 songs and about 40 pages of dialogue. I was 35 years old then. I dare not try to do that again. I'd have to go into training like Muhammad Ali. but I am going to do, an hour and a half production of it, yes.
That's funny. Here's another look at that one. There's another version of that.
Yeah.
When you did it back in 2012. Yeah, that was so well received as well. And then the book too, a little bit more about the incredible, riveting, open, authentic page turner, Unplugged. What was that writing process like for you? Was it tedious? Was it cathartic? Was it therapeutic to get it all out and to share it in the book?
It was all of that. It really was, because I didn't consider myself an author, so this was definitely a new road for me. And I learned a lot. I spent a lot of time writing it, and I had to really talk to a lot of people who had worked with me to make sure that I had dates and situations correct. And I was reminded of many things that I had really forgotten about, but other people hadn't forgotten about them. And after I went back and, kind of vetted it, I said, oh yeah, that did happen. Okay, that's fine. One year, the second year of the festival, we were promoted. We were added to the promotion for with the Chicago Department of Tourism. So that gave us a much wider audience. Well, there were two gentlemen that came. And one was Ted Lang. I recognized him. And I think I may have sent you a picture of he and I. Well, there was another gentleman with him. And that year we had Al Green. So I kind of assumed initially that they were with Al Green. And Ted Lang said, no, I came because I saw this brochure on the festival was added to this event brochure of things taking place in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I didn't know who the other guy was. And he said to me, and I just tagged along because, I love gospel music. And I thought, how do I know you love gospel music? So he said, my wife is a gospel singer. And I'm like, and who is your wife? I said this to myself. And I said, well, who's your wife? And he said, Aretha. And then I realized it was Glenn Turman.
Oh boy. That's something, huh?
Yeah, so we always had, a few celebrities that came because they loved the gospel music. And I really had tried 2 years to get Aretha to perform on the festival. And she just wouldn't budge. But she was always so nice. She turned me down so nicely. She said, oh, Sasha, maybe next year. Not now. But I got to know her, and she was a lovely person, but she would not come and perform at the gospel festival.
That's funny. That's so now it's 37 years later. Could you imagine what is how has it changed over the years, and what can people expect when they go to the Chicago Gospel Festival today?
Well, it's changed a lot. And when I did it, it was clearly the largest gospel festival in the world. But the last year that I did the festival, we had 100,000 people each day. They had to close the park. they don't have the possibility of attracting that type of or that number now because it has moved to a more well-appointed venue in the park that's called Millennium Park, but the seating capacity is not there. They can only accommodate about 15,000 people in Millennium Park. At one time, all of the festivals were in Grant Park, but Millennium Park is very well appointed and great sound, and it's a beautiful place, but it doesn't have the capacity that the Grant Park Festival had.
Yeah. But in terms of the entertainment and the music, it's still fantastic, huh?
Yeah, it's very nice.
Is it a mix of younger artists and some of the legends? How is it now?
Well, I think that music has definitely changed. We were on the hallmark of something very phenomenal then. Contemporary gospel music was finding its way into the mainstream, because of artists like Andre Crouch and Edwin Hawkins, "Oh Happy Day," those songs. And now there are more different styles of contemporary gospel with the hip hop and, all of that the young people do. So they appeal to, in many ways, a different audience, not as much traditional as in the past, but but still an all-inclusive audience. I don't see that they have as many secular artists that I did, because I really pushed that. And I certainly every year did a piece of theater if it wasn't on the main stage, it was on the early stage. I had 3 stages.
Did you really?
We had a youth stage, then we had an early stage that started at noon until 5:30, and then the main stage that was from 6 until 11:30.
Till 11:30.
So it was a lot of programming, but it's changed, but everything has changed. I had a dress code. I tell them you can't come with jeans on, you have to dress, you have to look professional, you have to look like you're going to a concert. You can't tell anybody that now. The tire has changed. I would never get away with that in this climate. They'd probably say, "Old lady, you got to be crazy."
They don't even dress for weddings and funerals anymore.
No, we don't dress like that anymore. But we did with gospel. But I wanted it to be an elegant event. I wanted it to be grand. I wanted everything to be a grand celebration of gospel music, and that was the atmosphere that we created in many ways. But can't do that now. They wear blue. Everybody wears blue jeans and with the holes in the and they sing gospel and nobody cares. This is 2022, so
the world has changed. Yes, on
hasn't
many
it
levels.
changed?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a different world now.
What is your hope for it? There's a lot of crazy things that are happening lately, day after day after day. What is your hope? Do you have a message for us?
I really don't. The people need to just be more mindful of what they do. I'm going to leave it at that. I have a tendency to be very political, so I don't want to do that. I don't want to start saying what I think this politician should do or that one. I have my opinions.
But I think all come together, yeah.
But I think we just need to all come together. And I think we need to realize what we're doing to the planet.
It's to one another, yeah.
To one another. And, some of the things that are happening throughout the world that we are doing to ourselves, we won't be here very long. I remember one year when I had church ushers as the official ushers for the festival. And this one lady was walking down the aisles and she said, "Oh, Lord," she's waving her hands over the seats. "I just want to thank you, Lord, for the crowd you're going to send us. I want to thank you for that number that Matthew saw, that number that no man could count." And I passed. I said, "I thought John said that." Oh, well, doesn't matter. I thought that was John. I don't know everything in the Bible.
That is funny. Wow. Well, you obviously love life, and you've been living it to the fullest, and you've been inspiring so many people through your work as a prolific vocalist, and so much more, and giving back in ways as a creator, as an artist, that is legacy building. And I think it's a beautiful thing. What are some of those continued blessings and joys in your life, Sasha, that sort of keep you going and keep you forging ahead, inspiring and creating for the good of all of us?
Well, I think my daughter, my family, my friends. I have a good group. I have a wonderful group of friends. I have a great family. There are a lot of us. I'm an only child. Well, now I'm an only child. But my grandmother had 18 children. And so there are a lot of cousins. I
My
happen to
mother's
be
the youngest of 16.
is that right?
Yeah.
And how many are still living?
There's about, let me see, 16, I think about 10.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And then, like you say, all the cousins and all of
Yeah.
the in-laws, and that's just on that side of the family. Yeah. That's how
I
they
tell
did
you,
it
I
back then.
never thought I'd be the oldest one around. So they call me the matriarch. I said, you can call me what you want. Just don't come and ask me for any advice or any money. That's always a joke.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah, but yes, I am the oldest one. All of that of my mother's family, and that whole line is gone. So it's
Mhm.
just now all the cousins and the grandchildren and our children. But I think it's important that we learn to live together, learn to respect one another. It doesn't matter about your race, color, or creed. We have to respect each other for who we are, what we have done, how we have contributed to the growth of this world and to the growth of this country, and stop all the craziness, because we're ruining one another, and we're ruining the planet.
That's so true.
Mhm.
Yeah, so beautifully said. It's so true. I second that emotion, my friend. The book, where can they find the book? Is it at Amazon and Barnes and
It will
Noble? And
it will be in 2 weeks. For now, I have advance copies, and they can get them from me at my website, www.unpluggedthebook.com. And then it will be available on Amazon in 2 weeks.
So Unplugged the book.
.com.
And then you mentioned that it's going to be on Amazon in a few weeks. So if they're
Right.
watching this 4 months from now, it's already on
Oh, it's
Amazon.
not. They're not
Yeah.
watching. This is not real time.
Oh yeah, we're live right now. But if they watch this later on too, after the 2 weeks, they can go
They
right
can go to
to
Amazon.
yes, which is
Go to
perfect. But
Amazon.
we've got so
And if you get it from me, you get a free gift and an autographed copy.
so if they go to unpluggedthebook.com right there on the screen,
Yes.
there it
Mhm.
is, gang. If you want to get an autographed copy and a free gift from our very illustrious guest, Sasha Daltonn, legendary jazz vocalist, and so much more, unpluggedthebook.com. There is the book on the screen, Unplugged, the untold story of Chicago's Gospel Music Festival, and so much more. The life of, and you're going to want to get the book because she spent $125 just for the hair.
That's right.
She needs to make that money back.
Listen, you're not kidding. My makeup artist called me because I had told him I was doing this interview, and he said, Sasha, what time do you want me to come? I said, I think I can make it through this one.
And then the internet went down. Was that a sign?
Yeah, the internet, and I'm looking at my modem, and it still hasn't come back up. But thank God we could do it on the phone.
You got it on the phone and you nailed it. Hey, I want to show you somebody who's always here towards the latter part. Mr. George Burns is with us.
George, how are you?
He's there. He's got a cigar and his hanky. He said you knocked it out of the park. He thoroughly enjoyed it, and he wishes you nothing but continued good health and joy and blessings in your life. Sasha.
Thank you, George. May I just say one other thing, please, before we go?
Absolutely.
As much as this book is about the Gospel Festival, it's about a spiritual awakening.
Yes.
And it doesn't just appeal to people who are interested in gospel music, yes, but there's so many other values here that I think that I really try to impart that I think will actually be very, very appealing to the religious community. So I'm hoping that for whatever their interest is, that they read it, because there's definitely something here for everyone.
Absolutely. I hope this show met whatever expectations you had and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I had with
I
you, Sasha.
did. Is it over?
Do you know that we chatted? You won't believe this. We chatted for an hour and 20 minutes.
Do you know you probably realize I'm a great talker.
Me too. Yeah. Conversationalist, right?
Maybe we should have a show.
Yes. What are some things you do have coming up you're excited about?
I've got a lot of book signings coming up, and I have a number of promotions that I'm very, very excited about. I'm looking forward to working more on my new production and getting that capitalized. And I'm just woodshedding, getting ready for Sasha Sings Dinah in 2023.
Very nice.
Yeah. But, thank God I've been able to get, people like yourself who are willing to interview me, and I appreciate that. And there's a number of them coming up, and that's great. I appreciate that. And just being able to continue to do this, to spread the word, and to continue having the breath to keep on working in this industry. I'm involved in I'm on a jazz board of directors for a jazz organization, as well as a gospel organization. So I want to see these music genres mix in another way. And
yes, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yes. So I have an idea. That's what I say throughout the book. I had an idea.
Have an idea. Exactly.
Have an idea, yes.
What would be maybe some final words that you have about our conversation or the show, or anything you'd like to share, my friend?
Well, I think that as being interviewed by you has been an honor. You're a great host, a great conversationalist. And unlike so many people, you ask the right questions and lead your guests in the right direction. I think that it's important that we continue to have shows like yours where people can conversate and get to know one another more and get to know what we are all about. And that to me is very important.
I appreciate that. And that's why we call them conversations versus just typical interviews. It's when you have a conversation, it's much more relatable and authentic and open and real and flowing versus just the typical interview and the typical interview questions that people always ask. And we go a little deeper and warmer, which I think is kind of cool. You are amazing, Sasha Daltonn, and I really appreciate all this time. Almost an hour and a half. We chatted like as if it was 10 minutes, right? It doesn't feel like almost an hour and a half, does it?
Well, time goes when you're having a great time, doesn't it?
Absolutely right. And I did. And the Lovities watching around the world, they already said you're a Lovity. You're now a Jim Master Show Lovity.
I love it. I'm a Lovity.
Isn't that cool?
Yes, I'm excited. Now I have another title.
So when you go into the supermarket on the weekend, make sure you tell them, I'm a Jim Master Show Lovity. Are you?
Yes. Then I need to send you the link so you can join.
That's it. Looking forward to the book, and congratulations on it and all that you've accomplished in your illustrious musical career. And again, I applaud you for wanting to continue to celebrate music, the arts, and also celebrate those who are in the business, because I know you're very humble about it, but there have been numerous occasions during this conversation on the Jim Master Show where you indicated how you really, again, have given people a leg up. You've celebrated and you've empowered, inspired others. And it's just something that flows out of you naturally. You've ended up in these situations in New York and Chicago and elsewhere where it was just, they expected you to do it. You went out, you took the bull by the horns, and you made things happen, which is the key to it all. So good
Thank you.
stuff. Yeah, really, really
Thank
good.
you very, very much. I never looked at it like that.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Something went
much.
on your camera lens. Do you see it?
No, what is that? Is it my finger? Did I move it? I think that was my hand. You know, Murphy's Law always kicks in, doesn't it? Who would have thought the power would go out today, that we'd have the cable blackout today? But anyway, we got it done.
We got it done. Are you telling me that after all this wonderful inspiration and great conversation, we got the finger?
No, not at all. You get the finger like this. The heart.
There you go.
The heart.
That's it. That's what we love. You're a riot. You're a lot of fun, my friend, and I really appreciated all the time. You be well. You stay in good health. Continue
You also
doing what you're doing. And again, I hope we do get a chance to. I know you mentioned in the fall, possibly you'll be in the New York area.
I will.
So keep me posted. It'd be great to meet up.
I'll take you out to dinner.
That sounds great. We'll break bread. I love that.
They have a Denny's there, right?
Oh yes, I like my moons over Miami. Moons over Miami. I like those.
Okay.
You're the best.
Well, you have, Jim. You have your people call my people, and then we'll get it together.
We'll have our people call.
Okay.
Thanks so much for joining us, and for
Thank
all
you.
the time, your wit and your wisdom and your fabulous personality. Good luck with everything. Congratulations again on the book. Spread the word about our show. If there's others you think would like to come on the show as a guest, they're all welcome. And thanks for all this great time. You're amazing, Sasha. And sending you love from the East Coast.
Thank you so much. You stay safe.
You too. You take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Sasha Daltonn on the Jim Masters Show live. We thank her very much for joining us. What an epic conversation. And again, a wonderful artist too. And she's been doing this for a long time. She's performed with some of the greats, but she has this whole other side of her career where she, again, founded the Chicago Gospel Festival. So many different things, as she mentioned and illustrated in this conversation, just sort of came in her lap, sort of happened. Things that she didn't plan to do, but once it was thrust upon her, she took it and she ran with it and inspired people along the way. And really beautiful. And some of the great photos that we showed exclusively, weaving into our conversation with this legendary jazz vocalist. And again, you can go to unpluggedthebook.com to get the book. It's available right now. And then soon, just keep checking Amazon. You'll be able to find it at Amazon as well. And this is real and authentic and shoots straight from the hip. And she's a real absolute pleasure. There is the book right there. You're going to absolutely love it. Really, really fantastic. And again, some epic photos and history and so much more that we shared with all of you, with these great stories throughout her career, the people that she's had an opportunity to perform with, commiserate with. And that's just, a few of them. There's a terrific one as well with Ali, and that's Jesse Jackson as well, or with Al, that is. Al and Jesse. Really cool stuff. Thank you very much, gang, for all these great comments. We really appreciate it all. And I want to let you know that coming up, we have another amazing artist joining us. Melba Joyce is joining us. She's also a legendary jazz vocalist, songwriter, and author, internationally acclaimed singer. Melba Joyce is going to be with us here. That is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Join us for that. Did you see the episode when Lucy Arnaz was with us recently? Daughter of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, actress, singer extraordinaire. If you didn't see that amazing episode, our dear friend Lucy Arnaz was with us. Check it out. It's on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Another incredible artist, Tony-winning actress and singer. Her father, Monty Hall, Let's Make a Deal, the game show host. Yes, we talked a lot about that, but she also did her show recently at 54 Below in New York City, sold out of the eclipse. Really incredible story. She's absolutely amazing. She was with us in 700 more because we've had about 700 episodes we've done of our show, which is quite amazing, gang. And thanks for all the love and support, whether you watch live. Many people do watch this later. Perfectly fine, and we love it. We thank Sasha Daltonn for joining us here on the Jim Masters Show live and gracing us with her wit and wisdom and her presence. And we also, again, encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't had a chance to do it, click the red button, subscribe. That really helps us out here at the Jim Masters Show live. And make sure you click the notification bell so you never miss any of the episodes. And if you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up like and share the link with your friends on your social media and leave a comment on the YouTube channel as well. We really, really appreciate that and appreciate all of you as well. We don't say goodbye here. We say see you later, more loops, slancha, cheers, ciao. We also say auf Wiedersehen, hasta la vista, sayonara, and all the rest. And we thank you so very much for being with us. Love the guests you have every day. Thank you from Merlin watching in Ontario, Canada, and Kathleen in New York City. Thank you, Jim. Great show. Thank you, Kathleen in New York City. Hope all of you are doing well. Our lovely squad reporting in here from literally all around the world. Yes, we are a very interactive show to the best of our ability. And I just really love all this. And Sherry Larson in Kansas says, lovely lady. I agree. I agree. Merlin says, relax. And you guys are the best. Thank you so much for being with us wherever you're watching around the world. You mean the world to us. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your levity. We want to thank our friends at LMG, Lampkin Music Group, for their love and support and time and attention for the Jim Masters Show live. They love our show and they love to support it as well. And we appreciate them for their love and support as well. And of course, we appreciate all of you. What we do here is something a little different. It's not just a typical interview. We have good, solid conversations. And I think you'll learn a little bit more because they're real and they're authentic and they're flowing and they're funny and they're whatever they are. Whatever you're getting from our series, I hope it's something special, and share it with the world. And we thank you for all the time and attention. We'll be back on the next one. Okay, gang? So for all of us here, this is your host, Jim Masters. Thanking you for your time. This time till next time, stick with us. Many more great guests, episodes, surprises, and so much more coming your way right here on the Jim Masters Show. Thanks. We always say be well and take care of one another and love one another and be good to one another. So we'll say that again for all of you. Catch you on the next one, okay? Take care. Thanks for joining us on the Jim Masters Show. Cheers.